Imagine posing for those photos. It is our highest priority to ensure Amouranth is well taken care of and given the highest quality. Okay, yeah, this is a troll. I'm being trolled!
Hey, don't hate. Let's get into this. So let's talk about the esports of ESL before we kind of get into the ramifications of what's happened with Counter-Strike in general. And, so we've had lots of press releases drop in the last couple of days in ramifications to the...
been busy. A lot of proclamations.
Can we call it a war? Can we call it a war?
Yeah, of course we are.
It's a fucking war, right? Okay.
It's a war.
So, but let's talk about the event. Obviously, a legendary event, IEM Katowice, happening for, I want to say this was the 10th or 11th year. It's been a Counter-Strike major. This year it was StarCraft.
I think this is the 11th year.
Is it 11th? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I saw at least a 10-year memorial video.
I know. I sent in some footage for like a 10-year. It could have been a 10 years of ESL video, and this could be 10 years of IEM Katowice. There might be that. I'm not too sure. But look, it's been a banner year, I think, for Counter-Strike now already. As we had the major earlier on. Blast came out firing. Counter-Strike showing that it's still in a really good place. And obviously, despite all the challenges of global pandemic and having to deal with what happens if a player tests positive, or how do we isolate from a crowd, or whatever, we've still seen great Counter-Strike events. In fact, they're really the only one in esports that are putting on these huge events with people in the arenas. It's really just Counter-Strike and maybe Dota to some extent as well. Yeah. But that sort of run aground in the face of its own issues. Excuse me. But I want to talk about the setup they had, right? So let's start from the start, because obviously the Spodek is like, I know that the Lanxess is the cathedral of Counter-Strike. I don't know what the Spodek is. It's something close. It's a hallowed venue, right? The echoes of previous champions. I can hear them in the halls. I've been dragged up as a side stage reporter by Carmack, a few years to do that event. Always leaves me with some really fond memories. So, and I really enjoyed the show as well. The setup was great. The tech seems to be evolving, which is good, because the ESL Pro League setup was left a little to be desired on the tech side, Scott. They obviously virtualized that studio, and that was questionable.
Yeah, their first foray, well, maybe not even their first foray, but the one they were doing out of Germany, that first rendition of their virtual set, definitely had some stuff to be desired. But it's a tough thing. I mean, we talk about it a lot because, again, I'm a production nerd, so I always talk about production as it relates to some of these bigger events. But obviously, we're also sitting in an XR studio and stage, so I really get geeked out when you start talking about the walls and green screen and stuff. So I'm always looking at that kind of stuff. So the huge upgrade on their analyst stage set, if you will. ESL Poland,
desk, right?
The desk. ESL Poland has a facility in town, so that's where this took place. They were not in the arena. This is their new virtual set look. Looks great, ties in to the actual physical set in appearance and coloring and lighting and all that. Really, really nice. This is the magic behind it, right? So what you're really looking at is a real platform with a real desk on it, with cutouts on the floor that show the green down below, and obviously green screen all around. And the desk itself is raised on a green platform, so it floats even more in the real shot.
It's excellent.
Excellent.
I mean, we have at the Overwatch League, we had to try and virtualize to a degree, but we had to basically, everybody was in their own fucking closet or garage or spare room in the house, and the lighting wasn't consistent. And then the virtual set was like 480p or something like that. So it's nice to see what you can achieve with the proper setup. The whole screen, like they wheel me in to talk about the games. I don't really care too much about the production side of stuff, but they have a diffuser across the entire room, so the light filters down evenly. And I'm squinting at that scene of Trey talking and everyone at the desk there. I can't see any aliasing problems.
No.
I can't see any distortion.
Yeah.
Even the way that people are bordered against the background, sometimes there's an outline around you when you're in front of a virtual set. So I'll allow my sort of latent production nerd to come through there. I thought that they did a great job with that. It looks good. That's the standard, I think, that all virtual sets should be aiming for. If you can't do it in a venue, look at this. Look at what you can do with sponsor branding. Yeah. And how you can integrate it. This is the future.
And one of the really cool things is Jason and I, when we were watching earlier in the tournament, that the logos where you see Coinbase on either side, The week before,
Crypto, get mad. Hey.
Yeah. The week before, that was literally just in front of that desk. And they realized it didn't look good. It blended weirdly. So they moved and made 2 of them, put them to the side so it fits the flow better. Yeah. It looked really weird before. And again, so
okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah, the cool thing about it being virtual is it's not like something you've built and you go, oh shit, we got to get the carpenters back. How do we do this shit? Electrical. Like, it's all virtual. So you can tweak this shit. You can look at it. And again, green screen, so it has its own challenges for talent. I mean, the cool thing for us is we can turn and we can see the shit behind him. If you work in a green screen environment, it gets really green after a while. Like, you're weird. You're either white or light or you got green, and it's a little, you get used to it, obviously.
Yeah.
But to your point, incredibly well done key. And where I really noticed it's really easy with guys that have hair like mine or whatever, but like watching Freya's key, because she's a woman, little pieces of hair, right? That's how you can check a key. And actually, some of it disappeared because it will, like, sometimes like this boom will disappear.
Yes.
But no glow, like you said. Best key I've seen in esports in that sense. And conversely, again, you mentioned the PGL did the major before. They also green screen their analyst desk, but they hit them with a lot of light, and you could see the harshness right away from like Richard then in the environment. It didn't match, right? Yeah. These guys matched really, really well. They weren't so happy. And talking to Yanko a little bit, like, they're down the road from the event. So
they're not even at the venue.
Yeah, so like tough. You're so close, because obviously we've both been to that venue and we've both been to many venues. There's nothing like, if you can work and if your desk is in like the back hallway, that's one thing. But if your desk is like overlooking, and I can turn and go, oh, look at that stage.
Yeah.
That's a vibe.
You can't really beat that. But you can't control that environment from a production perspective.
No.
But I think like anybody, like a lot of talent still sort of fight that battle. I think like the best you can do now, if you really want to create a clean look and have a proper virtual set up, you can't put them in the arena. It's not feasible.
No.
The best you can do is put talent in there, put casters in that venue. So sorry, desk people. If you are esports talent and you have the dreams of like being in the stadium, then switch off the desk and become a caster, because that's the only way you're probably going to be able to do it. If there's a world where they're going to start virtualizing these sets, which makes much more sense from a logistical and quality control standpoint.
Yep. And even if they don't virtual them, even if they keep them brick and mortar, but somewhere cheaper, right? And it's a standard set somewhere else. Because if you look at traditional sports, the desk rarely travels anywhere. Only for Super Bowls, only for March Madness finals, only for big events does like the NBA desk leave Atlanta and go to the event.
Yeah.
Right? Most of those games, they're in a studio. Like you said, the play-by-play in color, they're in the building usually, right? Same thing with football, right? Only for the big ones.
So I could never work a desk for that reason. It's fucking intoxicating being in an arena. It makes me about 3 times better at my job as well. So.
I used to love it. I mean, it was to the point where it's like, we pinch ourselves like, wait, I'm actually getting paid now?
Yeah.
Right?
I've got to say, the arena looked really good too, though.
Yes. Looked good. A setup they've been doing for a while. Again, when you move into a venue every year for year on year on year, you figure out how to set your stages up, how to drop all your power and all those things. So this stage is not necessarily new. They've had this kind of similar look before last year as well, but it's a rock solid. They basically half arena the venue, right? They cut it in half. Half of it is the stage and all the shit behind, and the other half is where the audience sits. Works really well.
You have to do that.
Works really well.
Because there are so I fucking hate it. We did this in the Overwatch League far too much. There's so many venues where you're sat looking to the side constantly. Like, you need to cut these venues in half for sure. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't. It hurts your neck after a day of watching esports. So this setup, in my opinion, is the way to go. It's pretty commonplace for concerts as well these days, having you sat in the round. And not sort of, in that awkward way. Anyway, look, it's a legendary venue. It's not as big as it maybe looks on broadcast, but when it's full of people, like, it's extremely energetic. I was in that arena. I remember doing a side stage interview. I got bodily hoisted into the crowd by some drunk and boisterous Polish gentlemen who pulled beer. I loved it. It was fine. They were gentle, to be fair. But I literally had hands snake up under my armpits and just fucking launched me up into the crowd. And I did the interview the whole time. Cameraman just waved at me as he bloody panned up as I was carried in there. But look, nothing really beats it's a playground. Yep. Nothing really beats that place. Yep. And I also know that sort of the setup there was really nice for players as well. Look, ESL have been iterating on this event for years now, so it's nice to see that they're continuing to find ways to improve it. We talk about how we improve our events, and with all the cost-cutting that came as a result of the impact the pandemic had on many esports enterprises, it's nice to see that we're still not settling for the status quo. And within the bounds that we have to create great experiences for players and fans alike, we are doing that. Not everything goes to plan, though.
Yeah, it wouldn't be me talking about production if I didn't point something out, right? And I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this is cool, this is great. They got AR elements going. Pause this.
No, really?
So this is a really neat thing. So what they've done is they've got like an AR little thing that floats around that gets in front of their camera and blocks it. Again, neat little thing. They fly through it, so to speak. That's not how you spell quarter, okay? It's not how you spell quarter. Now, conspiracy guy in me would be that's really close to Qatar, though.
What are you fucking talking about?
I don't know.
It's not close to Qatar.
Just bringing that up.
I mean, what the fuck?
It's one letter away from Qatar.
There was an Overwatch player, a Korean Overwatch player by the name of Quartermain, and he spelled his name like that, and it really tilted me because he had to
Carter?
Yeah, it was supposed to be pronounced quarter, but he just, dropped off the R. Obviously, he spoke Korean, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, look, these things happen. There is someone like...
But they didn't fix it. It's still like...
Well, how? So wait.
I don't know how that makes the show. I mean, it is what it is.
Did it come up multiple times?
Yes.
Oh, well, fucking hell.
Because I watched it the first time, I go, okay, they'll catch that, right?
This is ESL in a nutshell, though. Incredible facade. Like, the front of the store is just fucking lights and glitter. And then the paint chips start to fall away, and then you realize it's like an overworked Polish guy at a desk, like fucking 16-hour-a-day shifts, and they're not backfilling his position, and they're only giving him a fucking, like, half-warm pierogi that's been split in half or some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what lies behind the facade. And it's like that with so many esports events, to be fair. And the more of these events that work, the more thin that veil gets. So
close, though.
Yeah,
so close.
It didn't quite stick the landing there.
That almost would have been a 10 from the U.S. judge over here. But really good. I really liked the desk, liked everything about it. Vlad over there. And basically, ESL a couple years ago hired away some of PGL's best tech guys, the Vlads and a couple other guys that were basically being the ones that were doing all the experimentation in this technology with PGL. So it's cool to see. And again, they got a whole bunch of money now in the sense of new owners. So hopefully they keep, using that to keep pushing this tech. Again, we're big fans of the
Pump
tech.
that fucking Saudi money in your broadcast. At least we can get something positive from this.
Pump it.
Oh dear. Look, there were some.
Yeah.
Look, I think World Events cast a poll over this event. Its proximity, of course, to it borders Ukraine, right? And obviously there are players that are involved deeply in the Counter-Strike scene that are incredibly heavily impacted by what's going on.
Well, sure, and obviously, Poland shares much of the same history. You mentioned the Spodek. The Spodek was built in the Cold War time. It is a Cold War communist, blocky-looking Soviet. That whole city is very Soviet-looking because that's when it was an industrial town for that time frame, right? And so it's very concrete-y, very.
You can go to this like a mining museum.
Yes,
that's really interesting.
Yeah. So again, just historic in so many ways for that region. So obviously, the event affected by the war that's going on, affected by COVID, which we'll talk about because it affected the grand final in both scenarios. But let's get into this first part of it. So obviously, a number one team on the planet is Na'Vi. Na'Vi's charismatic leader, if you will, simple number one player on the planet, many years running, destined to win this event probably in a normal time frame. Looking a little human the last couple months, though, as a team, but clear favorites to do quite well. The team has Russians and Ukrainians on it. It is a pure mix of this war. Simple, OJ Borg shows up again, which, before we get to Simple, shout-outs to OJ. Great guy.
I think it was pretty last minute because I could say this: the ESL approached me to stage host this event.
Oh, okay.
So they were looking at. I think they asked Afia. She confirmed that, and I think they probably tried to bring Machine in as well. So I don't know. I assume OJ was their first option, so I'm glad he could make that happen. I couldn't have gone over anyway, so no hard feelings. And also, OJ is just a cut above. So yeah, fantastic show from him as always.
Yeah, and it was just nice seeing him again. It was like, none of this bullshit has happened. It's OJ on stage again because he only shows up for this kind of stuff, right?
That's
He's not an endemic,
guys,
right?
He's a family man, and he's obviously BBC radio host. So Yeah,
Great stuff
guy.
to see.
Really, really never a dull moment with OJ
Yeah,
around.
and, you know, and he warmed us up and gave us a really nice speech. Obviously, Carmack every year gives a couple nice speeches. These hit a little differently this year because of the conflict.
Yep.
And then Simple had a chance to talk. Simple and his team were given their Grand Slam awards, which are a whole bunch of money, and gold bars.
Gold bars.
This was during that scenario, and OJ did the one thing you're never supposed to do, but you can do it with Simple.
There are some people that you can do this for.
You can let Simple have the mic. So let's go ahead and play this, folks, and you can kind of hear wise words from Simple.
And the final question, how are you? You all right?
Yeah, just can I
Take it, man, all yours.
microphone. Okay, hello guys. First of all, I don't have a lot of words to say, but I want you to know that esport is out of politics, and all players from different teams, and all of you have nothing to do with government decisions. My whole career, I played with Ukrainian players, I played with Russian players, and I played with American players. And all of them great guys. And right now I stay with my friends, with my real friends. We win together and we lose together. And all of us want peace for Ukraine and for whole world. All of us scared. And all of us need to show example on this tournament for whole world. We need to stay together as a unit with our fans, with our friends, with everyone who's gonna watch this tournament. And we all need to stay humans first. So thank you everyone who came. I hope you will enjoy this tournament.
Yeah, look, obviously, as this is happening, you know, Simple's hometown is being shelled to shit by and this is personal opinion, a absolutely fucking crazed dictator. So, you know, probably pretty hard for him to focus on you know, the task at hand, so to speak, especially when his countrymen are literally being handed AKs and, you know, and sort of defending the country. So, you know, he says that, you know, obviously esports is not separate from politics because it's all downstream from that, right? A lot of what we do is affected by that. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show, but it's an appeal, I think, as well. And also, I think for some people, you know, it helps them realize that this is not a directive that all of Russia has gotten behind, and the atrocities that are being committed in the name of Russia is not something that, you know, the average person is supporting. And, you know, I think it's important that, you know, Simple's able to come forward and speak on behalf of his Russian teammates and say, this is not, they don't agree with this either. Like, we are friends first. And, you know, so the sentiment was really admirable. And, yeah, it must have been a tough time for him to have to take a mic like this.
Yeah, I don't even know how you put it to the side and try to sit on that stage and compete, you know, because they had to go on and play. And they certainly became fan favorites right away, even though they already are a fan favorite, because you got this extra story of two countries coming together under one team banner. Obviously, Na'Vi is a Ukrainian company as well, right? The team itself, with ties to Russia, which we will talk about today. That's also in the news. So, and again, unfortunately for them, they lost. They got 2-0'd by G2. But again, can't say it doesn't make sense. I don't know how you could.
Perhaps their minds are elsewhere.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, mine would be. I think for those of us that aren't even involved, some of this shit, our mind goes elsewhere. So, like you said, like friends and family, home fighting a war, and you're meant to be playing a silly video game. So, I think one of the coolest, if there's a cool moment out of this, is just seeing those of us that have watched Simple grow up, right? This is a kid that got accused of cheating and being toxic and just being a little shit years ago, right? Yep. And being good, but a little shit. And he is, through these last 3-4 years, from Liquid to, you know, now Na'Vi, where he sits now, he's kind of growing into, not only a phenomenal player still, like GOAT, but he's growing up to a hell of a man.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
I'd say like
a hell of a fucking
at worst, a very decent human being.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important as well, an example to set for, you know, Counter-Strike can skew young sometimes as well, and you know I don't think it's necessarily the most welcoming community or even the easiest to penetrate, especially if you use like examples like HLTV, right? And if you try and take a community's temperature via that medium, it's not very good. But speaking of temperature, the grand final, Navi didn't make it to it, but it was an insane series. The second map, Mirage, went to what 58 rounds of Counter-Strike. Every single, obviously, I think almost every series was a sweep, but they were not short games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it was 19-15, then 31-27, and 16-14 finally to end on Dust 2. And obviously it was FaZe that ended up triumphing over G2. But what a series, and what a time for Counter-Strike, reminding us again that this is still the king of shooter esport.
And not at all what was supposed to happen, right? You've got a FaZe team that is playing with nothing to lose, a series of stand-ins. This is some B-roll we grabbed, pistol roll and stuff to kind of bring you guys up to speed. But to tell you about the FaZe roster situation. So during the early parts of the tournament, Rops gets COVIDed, has to play, has to be in isolation.
Has to play from a hotel room.
In a hotel room.
For the qualifier part, right? So not the Spotted games.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then has to leave to go home to get tested to come back because he doesn't want to get tested in Poland because if he tests positive again, he's quarantined and can't play.
And he can't leave Poland.
So he wanted at least if he gets screwed, he's going to be screwed at home and stay home.
Sure.
So he leaves. JKS plays for him. JKS comes in
Justin
as a ringer.
Savage,
Your boy
wonder.
Justin Savage.
Yeah.
Plays for him, does well, comes in with basically, I just don't want to be the one that knocks FaZe out of this tournament. I just want to hold my own. He fucking holds his own, right? So he does one replacement. Rops gets cleared, comes back negative, comes back in the country, all well and good, can sit on the stage, can play. Rain tests positive, right? He plays one game from isolation. The last game before Spodek, can't play Spodek games in isolation.
ESL ruled against it. Like they wanted to have 5 players on either side of that stage. Just as well that JKS was part of the entourage here for FaZe Clan and could actually step in.
And that's exactly what happened. So JKS gets tapped again, comes back in. He says 30 minutes prior to them getting on the shuttle that morning to go play the finals, because again, they keep testing Rain, right? If Rain tests negative, he could play, right? Rain doesn't test negative, you're in. They fucking 3-0 G2 with Monzi, this fucking Russian phenom kid that plays on fire still. Nothing, and Counter-Strike parlance this is almost set up to happen because oftentimes you're counter-stratting, you know what a set of 5 guys will do, where they'll play. FaZe kept having to play with stand-ins, so maybe G2 could never get a proper read on, because 1 minute JKS is replacing Rops, next minute he's replacing Rain, and he played amazing. He didn't fucking fail. He played well, right? Again, surprised the fuck out of everybody, and I think when they won that first map, it was all over, right? Like, they sent a message, and G2 was on the back foot the entire goddamn time.
Yeah, they were. I think, Monzi didn't really have the series. I think that a lot of fans were hoping would. Also Nico.
Great flashes, though. He had some flicks that he would have been cheating at home. Like, some of the shit he did in that arena, you were like, okay, this kid, fucking A.
Yeah, I wonder how much it has to do with the fact that JKS was already part of FaZe's system under a different permutation, right? So, because really, it's unthinkable for a team with a stand-in player to be able to go this far. But essentially, it felt more like he was just a 6-man.
Yep.
And this was a 6-man roster, and they were able to sub this guy in. I think Counter-Strike, Australia's Counter-Strike legacy is, maybe under siege a little bit here, with that Renegades era is over.
You guys beat Titan once. You beat Titans once.
Right.
Chad keeps talking about that.
Was that 2014, I think, at Katowice or something like that?
It might have been. It was here, I think, actually, maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely one of Chad's favorite moments for sure.
Shit.
But, players like Dexter on Mouse Sports, right, who was, I think, on that Chiefs roster in Australia for quite some time, playing sort of domestically. And there have been, obviously there was whole, Dick Stacey and his fucking sticker snafu and stuff like that. So Australia, I think Greyhound was the team that was representing Australia at the time. So sporadically we've had these moments as well, but JKS has been playing all through that. I mean, this guy was playing Counter-Strike at the top level when I was casting Counter-Strike back in Australia. So that's like 9-10 years ago.
Yeah.
He was a kid Straight up. You know, it doesn't look like he's aged much as well. Very quiet, reserved kid, really hard-working kind of guy. And it's just an incredible result for him. And you can expect, you know, a high-profile team to try and snap him up in a big way.
Yeah, and his contract is for sale. Like, obviously, he was part of that failed Juggernaut attempt from Complexity. So he's still technically signed to Complexity. Jason, like, tweeted, you know, hey, trying to help him out. He doesn't want to play in the States. He wants to live in Europe. So
JKS?
Yeah, and obviously Complexity's trying to build around their facility in Dallas. So, you know.
Yeah, they're trying to save NACS, right?
Sure.
Like, so obviously,
no, they'll bring a bunch of euros in probably, but yeah, sure.
Obviously, that game, what other way you're going to do it, I guess. Take some Valorant guys.
But I mean, but now, I mean, this guy, I don't know, we don't know what his buyout is, if it's a lot of money and a lot of months left on that contract, but hopefully that's a resume capper, what he just did for that team, you know, and he should be able to get a ride somewhere.
And obviously, you know, one of the, I think, players that's definitely most deserving of this kind of success is Carrigan, right? He's obviously departure from that previous Danish unit, right, and brought a lot of scrutiny on him. He was called a traitor. He was booed by his own fans. Was it Unza, I think, where they were? But obviously, winning this event for him is just an unreal redemption. You can see it there. I think Robban obviously behind him there as well.
Yeah.
Just sort of can't believe it. Incredible IGL. This is the kind of guy that studied under Zonic, right? Brings that sort of, that I want to say ancient sort of, approach to IGLing in Counter-Strike. Really an incredible mind for the game does Carrigan have. Yeah, look, he had an IGL scoreline over the course of this series. I don't think anyone really is bothered about that. It wasn't an underperformance if you're just using the scoreboard, but truly incredible moment for him. And I mean, wow, yeah, we've seen this team come close, right? 2017, 2018, I think like 2017. Yeah, I think I might have remembered that event specifically, and he has some words to share after it. He's really emotional. If you guys haven't already seen it, check this out. Fantastic winners moment from Carrigan.
Game on the planet. So we just saw. Fifth time lucky. It was insane to watch. What was it like to play in?
It's the first time I'm in the final in Katowice and winning 3-0 with so many overtimes with a stand-in against a great team. It's amazing. Should have won in 2018, but didn't. Now I'm fucking back and fucking winning this Katowice trophy.
You're clearly emotional. Being what you've been through, not winning in 2018, never being successful here, does that make this all the more sweeter?
Man, look at the crowd. Everybody's cheering Carrigan. Can hear everything FaZe Clan. It's like dream come true, and be able to lifting that. And I just want to say on Polish, Kohan Bas.
And you see Ropes there as well. Obviously, what a roller coaster for him, and he's been going back and forth, stuff like that. And like I said, this is the guy who was booed by his own fans. Motherfucker's it's like Jesus going back to what Bethlehem and almost getting run off a cliff or some shit. Nazareth it was. I don't fucking know, man. It's been years since I was forced to go to Bible Sunday school. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, so this for him, you know, on so many levels is really vindicating. So great, great performance from him. Obviously, fantastic moment from a guy who's been around for a long, long time. Finally hearing the crowd cheer his name and not in a negative way. This event showed that the appetite for Counter-Strike is very much alive, Scott, in a big way. The most popular non-major CSGO event, and there have been many of popular non-major CSGO events, even just this year. That Blast event was huge. 1.1 million peak viewers, but an average, most impressively, I think, of 330,000. A roaring success here for IEM Katowice 2022.
Yeah, really, really good stuff to see. And obviously, those of us that follow Counter-Strike know it's not a dead game, know that it was never a dead game. It's a very popular game and playership
it's a sentiment that resonates with me, Scott. I get it.
Yeah. You hear that dead game every so often. Back when your Call of Duty days, you heard that, right?
Ha!
You don't hear that anymore.
Ha!
So it's great to see. And again, great to see fans back in the building. Again, shows back. We have a major coming up. Which will also be interesting. Blast has an event coming up.
Yeah.
So we'll compare those numbers. A lot of the same teams. But nice to see. And ASL put a nice show on. I think, back to Carrigan, I talked about Simple, and sometimes I think we're so goddamn lucky with some of the ambassadors we get in Counter-Strike, whether they're some of our on-air talent or some of our players have just grown up to be just incredibly cool human beings. Because Carrigan, before he wins this, he's got this whole Batman shtick going on, and he embraces it. He lets people film, and he does shit with the TOs. He leans into all this shit. He's just He's just a fucking sweetheart, right? And so for him to get this victory, just fucking great. No crying though, Kerrigan and Counter-Strike, none of that, right? No crying.
I like it, you know what I mean? Down with these outdated sort of toxic masculine stereotypes.
I am a boomer. No crying. Don't show your emotions.
You see how much it means.
You go in the back, you drink your vodka, then you cry. When no one's watching.
Yeah, cry when no one's watching.
Cry when no one's watching.
Where's the fun in that, right?
Yeah, but congratulations to him, right? I mean, just again, so badass, and it sends a. I don't know what message it sends. Like that.
Well, it sends a message. We're here to stay. This shit is legit. Not only it's a great, I think, continued proof of concept for esports, but also for this model. I also think that where are all the other games for IEM? Like I worked a League of Legends IEM event. That was awesome. It's so fucking good to do that. Like, come on, Riot, stop being so fucking stingy. Like, work something out. Like, this is an incredible place to have your esports event. We had one Overwatch event for IEM, and it was good. And I just, please, can Blizzard and ESL just fucking talk and let's make this shit happen. I want to be back in the spot. We did a Gyeonggi event in Korea. It was awesome. Figure it out. We need more than just Counter-Strike at these events because it's just such an incredible venue and there's such an appetite and love for esports from the fans. Oh, man, I want to go back there.
Well, and that being said, there was a StarCraft 2 tournament that happened as well. So they ran 2 games. I'm going to screw... I don't know the names, so forgive me, chat, because I didn't research this part. But what I did see a tweet from Carmack on was that this is the first time in StarCraft 2 history that there were no Koreans in the final.
Okay.
Because we've had non-Koreans win.
The word in StarCraft is foreigners.
Yes. Yeah, foreigners. I'm sorry.
All right. So, yeah.
Rainer won, yeah.
Obviously...
And that doesn't happen very often.
Obviously, I think... StarCraft scene is definitely being really propped up by ESL.
Cyril from ENCE, right? Yeah. Badass.
So big shout out to the ESL crew. Obviously, Apollo's over there at ESL, obviously hugely involved in StarCraft prior. So
that's why it's back. It's got to be.
I mean, I know it's a part
Sean
of it.
got some power under him.
Sean is. He's a big wig over there now.
I bet he is.
Oh,
I bet he is.
I remember the old days out in Cologne,
You
buddy.
could be... See, he was a caster at one point, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I'd also have to sign away my right to say what I want on shows like this, you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
all right, let's...
$1 million is starting off for you motherfuckers.
Yeah. Let's move on to the downside of this Ukraine-Poland story and how we've had some ramifications affect the region and affect our esports. So let's talk about this war and how it's affecting esports, right?
I think it's important to to go around and sort of see how people have reacted to it, what action maybe we've taken in the esports scene, because a lot of not just individuals but also like teams and sort of products and events have been affected by this. First of all, Simple comes out and sort of publicly pledges, monetary support towards Ukrainian army. Obviously, Ukrainian army, Ukraine in general, there's a lot of ways that you can sort of, you can give and you can donate. Hopefully, we can get those links in the chat. We had them in Valoranting, some great links to sort of donate here. But Simple comes forward and, makes a donation of $33,000. Again, and I saw... It's funny, I saw some tweets from people that didn't follow esports as well. And they were like, he should be over in Ukraine fighting for his country, which, whatever. But, the guy's taking a very public stand for this. He's Ukrainian. It's his country, you know what I mean? And I think that there are so many people that would have no idea what the fuck's going on, if it wasn't through someone like Simple or people like that as well. So not only raising awareness, but... obviously, geez, if my home was under threat, I'd like to hope at least I was a decent enough person to want to do something about that. So I guess that has if we can even find a feel good slant there, I don't even know. But Simple's obviously said, hey, I make money from Counter-Strike. I'm putting it back to my country, the defense of my country against a foreign invader, and. Look, there was tournament organizers that had to make some decisions about who they involved in their future planning. So Blast, for example, the Blast Premier, they banned Russian-based teams from events. So no Russian-based teams will be invited. And the We Play CIS Masters, which is like a regional qualifier, it's been cancelled because fuck me. God knows if they're even going to have a fucking studio to work out of here. This is the statement here. And I think... this is from Blast, and they said it's not appropriate to have this WePlay event go forward. Obviously, there's no celebrating esports in the CIS region when so many residents of the Ukraine, so many citizens can't even spare a moment to think about esports while their entire livelihood, their lives, their countries are under threat. So, one of only many organizations that have had to sort of make statements about this and adjust their approach accordingly.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing a lot of these statements also come out from all sorts of corporate entities, all sorts of sports-related entities. Sanctions are coming, right, in all sorts of ways against Russian-owned businesses, Russian citizenry. Again,
there's a lot of oligarch money tied up in esports.
There is, yeah. So, so on top of this, ESL today, so a little bit out of order of timing, today ESL released their statement about, how they're going to deal with this. And it is very similar to Blast's but they name names. They basically are barring Virtus Pro and Gambit from participating. These are pro league teams. They are in ESL's Pro League. They are not Pro League Louvre agreement teams. So there's a different partnership there, but they have won the right to play in the league, right? They are league slotted teams, but not right now. So, and what ESL has said, which is what a lot of sports entities are saying to athletes that are being kind of sanctioned, if you will, or boycotted, or whatever you want to call this, that you're still eligible to come represent and play your thing, but you can't do it and represent them.
Right. So no sponsors, no jerseys, no name. So and you can't represent your country either. So you wouldn't have a Russian flag or anything up on you there. So and they obviously announced they're pausing all scheduled events in the CIS region as well. This is, I think, pretty standard. There are tournament organizers that actually operate out of Russia, that are Russian-owned. A good example is Epicenter, who have been informed by Valve that their European Spring Tour for Dota, I believe it was Dota, right?
Yep.
Has been postponed indefinitely. So this is an example of a Russian-based org, Epicenter. We've seen Epicenter do, I would say, attempt lands for Counter-Strike. I think that was like the Raise Your Cans guy. I think that was an Epicenter
I think that was.
land.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, not a great event anyway, but that's more of just a personal side. They've been told, you're not doing this. We're not getting alongside this. Obviously, there are other teams who have players that are involved in tournaments that are sort of run or quote unquote sponsored by entities from Russia. Good example is the D2CL, the Dota 2 Champions League. I want to say.
Yep.
Yeah. So Alliance pulled their team out of that, and obviously don't want a bar of it again. I think it's really important that these teams, it's not just performative. It's not just changing your fucking profile picture on Twitter to match the colors of Ukraine, which, look, I understand the sentiment behind that. I'm not just calling people out for being performative if they do that, but this is just an example of taking a stand and where there's going to be a material impact, on not only themselves, but also on the tournament organizer. There are more of these. There are more of these situations. Na'Vi, like you mentioned earlier in the show, they have had to make some divestments of their own, or they've chosen to, rather.
Yeah, again, Na'Vi, big, not so polite, not so fluffy and nice press release dropped as well, and they don't pull their punches.
No.
And nor should they, right? Again, Ukrainian company, but all sorts of Russian and Ukrainian employees. Their rosters are split depending on what game you're caring about. They have a legendary agreement with Esports. Russian company handled all the marketing and did other stuff for Na'Vi. That's all been kicked to the curb, according to this. I think that a couple years ago, that slowly started to separate anyway with the new ownership of Na'Vi, but still, they're cutting ties officially and saying some not so fucking nice things about Esports on the way out, because Esports has kind of not been negative against the war, and if anything, been actually more supportive on the Russian side of it. So it's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. I mean, we are talking. These are like Russian elites that fund this. This is and Esports has direct ties to the Russian government.
Yeah, and also keep in mind we talk about two teams, and if you don't know at home, the two teams we're talking about, Virtus Pro and Gambit. Virtus Pro owned by one of the Russian oligarchs that is on the sanction list, right? His jet's flying around anywhere he can hide. So that's one. That's why they're in the doghouse. Gambit, its owner, is the same guy that owns MTS, which is the national telecom system of Russia, also very deep in the government, also not unrelated to all the bad shit, right?
Yeah.
So that's why those two teams in particular are being singled out. Not that they're owned by just Russian citizenry, but there's some fucking serious ties.
You can't explain away their ties. Like they are inextricably linked to the Russian government.
Because there's also Forza is a Russian company, as is Spirit.
Yep.
They're not being called out the same way because those are just Russian business owned, if you will,
so
and less ties.
again, the other, like ESL said, it's these entities that have ties to the government in Russia because they're trying to make it they're trying to make that demarcation fairly clear. So I guess a similar situation happened here where Virtus Pro obviously have teams in multiple events. So their Dota team is well known, right? So this is a statement from someone at VP. I don't give a fuck who it is, really. Doesn't really matter. But basically, the team Virtus Pro at the Gamers Galaxy Dota 2 Invitational Series Dubai, presumably in person.
Yes.
Yeah, they were at in Dubai. Basically, they were told by the tournament organizer, like, your org needs to make a public statement about the situation in Ukraine and explain their stance, or you're going to get dropped from the tournament. Interesting that that it's being alleged here that the tournament organizer would announce the players that had COVID, even though apparently that they didn't have COVID, to sort of prevent them from playing, and they gave them a chance to not wear the jerseys, or basically what ESL is saying, right? This is from VP's perspective. They also said, we also said is that, well, okay, but this esports club or this event is, is Ukrainian. Like, they have ties to WePlay, so like the Ukrainians forced this decision upon them, trying to sabotage the event. This is just this reads like, I don't know, something out of another era. This guy, he basically says, Virtus Pro does not tolerate this behavior. We do not support any war there ever was. Now, here's the list, right? Ukraine, Syria, Afghanistan, Yugoslavia. Okay, all right, let's have some jabs at the United States. Fair enough. Yeah. But forcing someone to take a public stand does not lead to peace, but instead it drives people further away from each other and fuels hatred. Or it simply has your organization make it clear on which side of this issue that you stand, and not allow you just to keep doing as you were while your fucking psychotic dictator is waging war on an innocent populace, mate. Like, not trying to be funny, but the way, like, I love this. This is a fantastic self-victimization by these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And it gets worse as well. It gets, like, some of the quotes I've seen look like they come out of fucking Mein Kampf, man. It's insane. God, you actually have the sheet in front of you, so you can refer to it now. I fucking ripped mine up to make a point.
I mean, Virtus Pro will not fall for this intimidation. We won't take off our jerseys, and we won't tolerate this pressure. We speak for ourselves when we find it appropriate. No, probably not. At the very best, again, Virtus, maybe not the people that wrote this, maybe disassociated and disattached from reality, but the person that owns this fucking brand is a fucking Russian oligarch, okay? Yeah. This is not just some rando Johnny Bravo Russian esports team. Let's make plays, not war. Your boss wants this war, right?
I get it. Like, the CEO is a citizen of Ukraine, right? Fair, but it's the ownership. The ownership is a problem. Like, anyone can just appoint a CEO from fucking anywhere. I'd love to hear from their CEO, but he's probably too busy fighting in the streets. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the problem is that this org has provable ties to the Russian government, and it's not a stretch to say that, like, the Russian government profits from from the performance of this team.
Yes.
Right? What I don't see here is that so it says here that we are receiving provocations from certain public figures in esports. They said our behavior is the only adequate behavior in these dire circumstances, and then a quote that says any spark could lead to a fire. What the fuck? What is that? It's almost like stop trying to intimidate us because there'll be like a retaliatory action taken.
Yeah.
And basically they're accusing tournament organizers of conducting a witch hunt, which is not what's happening. It's either divest from Russia or you can't play. You can't play in this pool because we know you're going to shit in it.
Yeah. So, and again, and this statement, keep in mind, this statement came out right after the Epicenter Dota stuff, right? So this VP statement saying, fuck you, we're not wearing our jerseys, came out before ESL's statement today.
Right.
So ESL knows that probably VP's not coming.
Yeah.
They're not going to come.
Mate, they can't fly anyway. Yeah. Like, the fucking airspace is closed.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So we've caught you up. Let me double check we're on a show here. Okay, we got a couple more tweets. Yep, hang on though. I don't want to do this yet, Jason. I want to catch up. I want to talk about performative shit a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think some of these press releases are performative.
Which ones?
And I want to stop before we get into the ones that aren't.
Okay.
So obviously the VP one is performative in its own way. But I think Blasts from the core is incredibly performative, right? A, it's poorly written, for one. It just doesn't read right.
Okay.
But it's performative because A, the way they say they cannot, that they don't explain why the CIS qualifier can't happen. That they're just going to cancel it, right? They can't do the qualifier because WePlay, who would run the qualifier, is a Ukrainian company, right? So all it says is RCS qualifier has now been canceled. Tell me why, for one, right? The reason I say it's performative is they're making it sound like they've made a stand and they're doing something to their event. They're doing nothing because A, the qualifier can't happen. Not on them. Can't happen. WePlay is fucking shooting guns at people right now.
Yeah, it's like
right?
they don't make their position on the conflict clear, right? They just say it's not appropriate to hold this event.
But they're performing with this press release, right? And no Russian-based team will be invited. Because here's the thing. These teams in question, the 4 Russian teams, right? Because this just says Russian-based, right? This doesn't say Russian-owned oligarch teams. Blast's one. They don't call out.
I
Russian-based.
assume that's what they mean, though, right?
So, but let's say they mean all 4 of those Russian teams, Spirit 4s, they could all qualify.
Right.
They can't go to the qualifier because the qualifier don't exist. Blast could still invite them, right? They have an invite process. They can't invite them because they can't get visas and they can't get on a fucking airplane. So to me, the whole idea of this press release saying A and B happened is, it doesn't matter. You couldn't have qualified.
You're saying it should go without saying.
It does go without saying.
Right.
So, and it's just a shittily worded way to even say it. ESL's is betterly worded, at least.
You just said betterly.
Better worded. Betterly worded. Hey, I didn't do good in English or in poli-sci, right? So I just think and I think I think Thor and a couple of people have called out, and and I'm not Thorin's best mate, but in some of this is wait a minute, you're saying shit that you're canceling shit that was canceled for you,
right?
Right? So now I want to get into some of the real shit, and I think ESL's. They have once Blast makes a statement as a TO, they all have to do something now. They have to at least clarify, right? Sure. Now let's get to Ryan's tweet. So Ryan, obviously Rush B Media, now Dust 2, editor-in-chief, obviously shitposter extraordinaire, has jumped all over this. And what he brings is not shitposting, but a real piece of news. The Belgian government has called upon the European Union to stop issuing visas, right? So this, again, gets into this performative thing. If Belgium... No, this is weird. Is that the Dust 2 logo? Or is that the
That's a Blast
logo on a Dust 2 logo? That's throwing me off.
Yeah.
This is for the major. He's talking about the major. That is not run by Blast.
Right? The Antwerp major.
So that was confusing me. So, because obviously the major is coming up. It is in Belgium. The fear and the concern, unrelated to obviously those other press releases, is that Belgium just won't grant visas. So
to Russians, yes.
To Russian citizens. So regardless of what Valve decides, and therefore what PGL decides in the sense of some sort of political statement about who owns teams, they might not be able to come. They might not be able to get in, right? Or are we going to drive them in through the cover of darkness, in fucking hay wagons, So,
no.
So Ryan opens up a whole new can of worms of regardless of what anyone is going to make a statement about, these Russian players might have a problem going anywhere for a while and playing anywhere because they're not going to be able to travel.
It's called being a citizen of a pariah state, Scott.
Yes.
Yes.
So now the big bomb dropped this morning, right? Because these are all outsiders making decisions on what they might do with their businesses and how that might help the war or not help the war. Guess who asked us for help today? Guess who asked the gaming and esports world for help today?
Look, I'm not personally familiar with Mikhailo Fedorov, but on my little notes here, I can tell you that this guy is like a deputy prime minister, deputy vice president. Look, he's a member of the cabinet in Ukraine, a minister of digital transformation, amongst other titles. He is telling Xbox and PlayStation, obviously two of the largest gaming platforms, to leave. It's not leave the Russian market. People are wondering, I think a lot of people are saying oh man, this is really going to, induce hardship on the people of Russia. Like all this sanctioning, all this cutting off, all of this isolation. It is, yes. Ultimately, it's to try and, in some sense, encourage the inhabitants of Russia to try and put pressure on their local representatives. But it's not a fucking democracy. That's the whole problem with this. Either way, this is the letter from, obviously, Mr. Fedorov here, by pointing out obviously what the Russian Federation has conducted. It was an invasion. And basically saying, yeah, I want you to block all Russian and Belarusian accounts, temporarily stop the participation of Russian and Belarusian, because Belarus, their democratically elected leaders not leading the country right now. It's like some other, I think it's like it's basically a Moscow puppet that's running the place, and it was like an ill-gotten position that he has. And they're launching rockets from Belarus, and Russian troops are entering through. They're complicit in this, unfortunately. So cancel all esports events in Russia and Belarus and prevent them from participating. So this is obviously... This is happening because Ukraine consider this to be this would be a pain point for Russia.
Yep. And again, I think that's the bummer of this, but it's also something we all have to understand is, yes, we're our industry, our hobby, our athletes, our players, whatever you want to call them, and our fans are being used to leverage against Putin. Yeah. Right. And it's unfortunate, right? Because a lot of these other sanctions have been related to representing Russia or playing for a national team or wearing the colors or you work for an oligarch. He doesn't care. He's like, don't let any of them play anything. Yep. If there are no Russian accounts, no Russian citizenry anywhere.
Look,
like,
that's
how you send the real message.
And this is occurring, obviously, I think also the Ukrainian government has appealed to Apple for them to sort of prevent Apple Pay from working and sort of App Store stuff like that. I think that Ukraine are justifiably, appealing to the entire technological world, saying we need to cut these guys off. You know what I mean? Trying to basically turn Russia into another North Korea in terms of how isolated they are, which I think obviously has some really unfortunate implications for the entire fucking population of that country. You know what I mean? Obviously, gaming is huge in Russia, huge. Yep. I don't think I need to lay out the impact that it would have on people over there as well. We've seen the fucking protests in Moscow. We've seen how many people are getting arrested by Russian police for protesting against this war. This is not a widely, as far as I understand, supported war in Russia. It is definitely something at the volition. Many of the oligarchs and many of the elites are like, even China are saying, hey, you need to negotiate. You need to get to a table and have a democratic negotiation with the Ukraine here. So that's as much straying away from the gaming side of this as I'm sort of willing to go. Obviously, again, I didn't do well or study poli-sci at all. So I'm simply trying to keep my ears and eyes open and not fall prey to misinformation. Hopefully you can all do the same. We're going to be back after the break. We've still got plenty to talk about today. Some ridiculous snafus in the water, twitch.tv, just some scams, some ridiculous behavior, and some very strange products. We'll be back with those on the other side of the break. You're here watching The Breakdown. So this is really interesting, Scott, because as esports is growing up and we've sort of seen how game developers choose to move into the esports space, because it wasn't game developers' ideas maybe initially. We all had like third-party organizations go to game developers and say, hey, you want an esports scene? We'll make it happen for you. But now more and more, game developers are trying to take a bit more ownership or curate more heavily what their esports scenes look like.
Yep. And I think the last scene, if you will, to kind of embrace that would be the fighting game community.
In the final frontier.
The final frontier.
The last scene to embrace
the
deodorant.
FGC. I'm not going
Personal
there.
hygiene.
Okay. And so last couple of years, Capcom has stepped up their game. They organized the Capcom Pro Tour, which is kind of a pro league for Street Fighter. And they're in the news this week because they're becoming a little bit more esporty and a little something that we're more used to,
businessy,
standardy.
Right?
Yeah. And what they did yesterday, or day before yesterday, I think it was, is they basically have now come up with a full-fledged licensing system to use their game if you're a tournament organizer. For, I guess, clarification of that, in years past, if you were a low-level community organizer, doing local events, Capcom kind of didn't care. It's only the big stuff, the EVOs, the big tournaments, the big stream stuff that you would have to have some sort of esports license, which is standard in our world for the IP. But they've now dipped down into anybody using Street Fighter V to do anything needs to talk to us. We got some very easy things for you to do. What you're looking at now, David Graham, who is Ultra David in the fighting game community, longtime commentator, caster in him and James Chen, been a team forever. But he's also a lawyer in his real life, if you will. So he's always kind of talking about the legality of stuff in our scene, and kind of explaining to the fighting game community how that relates to them. So he's written a really nice article, kind of breaking down the licensing agreement and explaining what it is and what it isn't. And a lot of his article, definitely well worth the read. A lot of the article is, hey guys, this is nothing new in the world of publishers and developers caring about the IP of their product. Some of this is not even new to the fighting game community. It's just new to the grassroots level tournament organizer who normally could just kind of do their own thing.
Yep.
Right? And for us, like, this is very standard.
Yes.
Right? Most of the big publishers care no matter how you use their game. Now, I could certainly probably throw a $5,000 Counter-Strike tournament down the street here in Phoenix and, charge some admission, and Valve would not give a shit. They wouldn't sue. They wouldn't give a shit. But if I try to do that for a good chunk of change or have the big personalities involved or the big teams involved, their little radar would go up and go, wait, you have to at least get a free license from us. You can't just do this, right? Because a lot of these licenses are free.
Yes.
They're not necessarily charged for.
Yeah,
so,
and they basically, and a lot of these free licenses prevent you from charging spectators to view the event, which is...
Yeah, and this license, this is where I think Capcom maybe shot themselves in the foot. I'm going to tie my shoe so I don't trip while I'm standing here. Most of these licenses...
Wait, what?
Yeah, most of these licenses, I don't know why I did that on camera. Most of these licenses do several things for the developer. They give them some rights over your content, in some regards, often limited. They restrict how you can use the IP. You can't take my Street Fighter logo and put it on X, Y, and Z. You can't put your brand on top of my brand. Like, lots of very standard contractual how your IP and my IP work together to do your thing. But when they shot themselves in the foot, very, very unlike anything the fighting game community is used to having to get approved for this level of tournament, right? And they're also a system that this type of license directly hurts, and because you brought up some very valid points. Where the license hits them is can't charge, right? You can't charge.
Merchandise.
Can't have any merchandise that is Capcom related. So all these events will have some sort of artist alley usually where you can come sell your hand-painted cami stuff. Nope. Can't have that there because
what about just a cami leotard that shows my ass cheeks?
Peach, you can do whatever you want. I like that. I like how you did the little synergy of some news. Yeah. She'll be unbanned. Don't worry.
She'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
She's 24 melt in her mouth, mate.
24-hour ban.
Yep.
200 more subs because of it. She'll be just fine.
She'll be back in on a fucking palanquin.
Back to this. What seems to be the problem is not that Capcom gets, your stuff, because most of these licenses give the TO has to give a copy of it to the game owner. But it's this low level stuff that they set a really low limit on how much prize money you could have. For one event, $2,000 or cumulative year-round
for
total.
this tier of licensing, yes.
Yes. So, but if I do a weekly and I charge $10 a person to join that weekly, I'll crush that $2,000 in a big city. And if I do that more than 10 times a year, I crush that. They had two tiers: $2,000 for an event, $10,000 for the year of events. So you've taken my little community event and you've actually made me no longer a community event by how you're deciding your licensing work. And very heavy-handed on outside vendors you hire that come in and make content for you. I also own that as well. We'll show Robert Paul's tweet on this one. Robert Paul, really good photographer, hired by TOs worldwide to again, capture the event. What Robert does to pay the bills is Robert sells his exclusive photos to you, the TO, from your event, right? You make a deal, he shows up, shoots all your shit. Oh, Robert, go shoot that shit for me. Gotcha, boss. He's like a fucking photographer for hire for the event. And he decides in his brain what that daily rate is worth to give you his artistic creations.
To give one entity his artistic
and
creation.
Even with that, there's probably some caveats to what you can and can't do with Robert's stuff, right? But now, via that Capcom agreement, Capcom basically says, oh, you hired Robert? We get Robert's shit too.
We hired Robert.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like,
we get all that shit as well.
And if I'm Robert, I'm like, so hang on a minute. Not only are you the tournament organizer, you've paid for my photography, my work. You have access to that. So not only do you, but also Capcom can now use my material to advertise or whatever for whatever the fuck they want, whenever they want to do it in perpetuity.
Yep. I can take your photo from the photographer you paid from your event, but it's got Justin Wong in it. Justin Wong's on the Capcom Pro Tour, and in 2 months, we're going to use that image because it's a really cool picture. It's a fucking great picture of Justin.
Yeah.
He's got the fucking stick in his hand.
I'm Robert Paul. I'm the fucking best. So
and now
of course it is.
that fucking becomes a banner in every fucking piece of advertising. It has nothing to do with that TO's event, nothing to do with Justin Wong, everything to do with the Capcom game. Right? And it's always like, oh, we would never do that, because a lot of these licenses do give, like Valve could take every major VOD from Counter-Strike, put it on their own channel on YouTube, because they have that in their license. They also own the rights to the broadcast. But they don't do that.
No.
So a lot of this is in there, but probably would never really be hardcore.
It's the principle, though.
It is the principle.
And again, like when Rob goes and works for someone like the Overwatch League, it's just the Overwatch League that's paying for it. There's no one in between. There's no one above. It's not like, I don't know, Activision as an entire company could then use that. Like that's not. I don't think that's how it works, especially because Overwatch League's a subsidiary. So, I don't blame him for saying, and he says like, I'm just not going to work these events. You know what I mean? Which carries some weight, to be honest. It's like I would say like
Absolutely.
a top caster saying I'm not going to work these events. I'd say, the level of prestige is pretty similar. So, it's a bit arbitrary from Capcom here as well.
And then one more that stuck out with me of these things that are like, oh, this is maybe normal, but not so normal for the fighting game community. To have the license, you have to announce your prize purse in advance. Right? It has to be a published prize purse.
Yes.
We're giving away $5,000.
Yeah.
These events don't work that way at all.
No.
They're based on how many people signed up,
like
paid $10 at the door. It adds to the pot, and they use Matcherino, which is also a crowdfunding. You can literally, I'm going to throw $100 more on this match, and it just goes in the prize pool. Neither of those things could be used in this system, right?
Because the license you get is related to the prize pool. Can I?
Yep.
Okay, so.
But Capcom,
they don't know what they're doing.
But they heard all the complaints.
From who?
From everybody. Everyone they lost their. They gave us another press release, right?
Right.
They've heard us. They've.
Oh, okay. In response, right.
In response, I wanted to get this out of the way.
Right.
In response, though, because Capcom did, because obviously what we're talking about, everybody over there, like the fighting game community does not mince words with anybody. So they gave Capcom a fucking piece of their mind, like nobody's business.
Shocker.
Right? Shocker. And so they have showed up with a much ado about nothing release, saying, "Yeah, we heard you, but." We think it's going to make it easier for you and clearer for you and better for you. And they're doing, and again, why they're doing this is Street Fighter 6 is coming, right? Because this is all about Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 6 is coming. They will esport that game. They are building the legal framework to jam Street Fighter 6 into.
Yeah.
Right? For licensing and all that, right?
Okay, so like the reason of trying to streamline the approvals process is fine because in theory, if it's standardized the way that you would apply for this stuff, it would be easier you just apply the existing standards to an application and you'd be able to ixnay or approve it, right? That's fine, but it's not a good enough reason to compromise the entire model upon which these events were. Like, I understand the FGC is going to reject a lot of this stuff just based on principle, right? To many of these people, copyright law isn't even a thing. You know what I mean? Like that, these real annoying fetters of real world laws infringe on the grassroots nature of their scene. Like bad luck, actually, on that one. But if that part of it aside. Because obviously the game is not owned by them. Capcom owns the game, and the way that it's broadcasted, the people that are able to witness it, to play it, how many people let into a venue, these are all important things. It's like, fuck me, if you want to use someone's track of music on a YouTube video, and you're going to buy the license for it, you need to stipulate just how many people are going to fucking see this thing. Yeah. Is it going to be like inside a house or a cinema or the fucking world? Is it be broadcasted out there? These are all things that copyright law needs to take into account. So if you're like an FGC person and you're like, you're flipping this stuff off, then you're just being a fucking moron. Like, you have to understand that, your game is going to intersect with these annoying pillars of the real world at times. But there's a ton of reasonable concerns to this as well.
Yeah.
Because it compromises the whole model upon which their tournaments are built. I don't care about it being guerrilla and grassroots and stuff like that, but they can't even do things the way they used to anymore. And that apology doesn't say anything about how they're amending this process at all. And it doesn't even acknowledge the fact that they're gutting tournament organizers' abilities to sort of create these experiences for people that they want, that they gravitate towards. So Blizzard did this. They had a licensing fee, and they had, you had to purchase a license to run an Overwatch tournament. When was the last time you've seen like a legitimate tier 2 or you know, Valorant does this as well. And there's a good reason why there's only 1 or 2 tournament organizers that run these events. In North America, you know, I don't know. I don't see how Knights would make a profit on running Valorant events in America. They do tier 2 stuff. We've already discussed how Nerd Street Gamers, it just works with their business model, how they can run this stuff. Yeah. But these licensing fees, it's like, fine, okay, you can do that. But when the stipulations start to just, you know, force people out of the market, then you probably should reconsider. So I think there will be much more of this story to be told. Yeah. In terms of the, you know, not just the feedback verbally that, you know, you get as Capcom, which you can sort of, you know, you can take or leave that, but how many people step up and want to run these events and what the Pro Tour looks like now. Yeah. So,
I mean, my guess would be they're going to add a tier. They're going to add and I'll use their term, you know, they have poverty tournaments, they have tier 1 tournaments. A lot of these locals they call poverty tournaments because no one's making any money. Usually the TO might be losing money, you know. So I imagine they're going to add an even lower one. So they're going to raise that $2,000 one up a little bit. So that level of TO has a little bit more wiggle room before he crosses over. And then they're going to do something for that lower one that maybe requires less.
But it doesn't answer the whole issue about them having to pre-announce their prize pool, right?
No, again, I don't know how they've solved that other than throw that away and not care. As Capcom,
but then how does Capcom know what to charge them to run their event for the license?
I know, right? Because again, that's what the standard is
because you budget around that licensing fee as a tournament organizer.
See, and here's the weird. This is the Capcom disconnect, right? As a company, the corpo company, because they obviously looked at everybody else's fucking license agreements because it's very similar because it's based on prize purse and sponsor dollars. But what they totally forgot when they looked at what Riot does and Activision Blizzard does is that none of those companies that run or any company that uses those games to run their events. It's never, the metrics are never on, okay, we need 200 teams and we need $10 per team. It's never based on the team having to buy a pass. Like, that's not part of the revenue that then feeds the prize purse. Our events are sponsor driven by prize purse. Logitech gave $5,000 for the prize purse. It's not, oh shit, we only got 20 Counter-Strike teams. That means, you know, it's less of a factor in advance to determine that license, right? So, but that's what they used. But they can use that for EVO. They can use that for fucking CEO events in Florida, probably the big ones. And so, yeah, it just, again,
it's not compatible. So
it's not compatible.
Yeah, but I think like eventually the FTC has to quote unquote grow up in some ways. But like this doesn't. Come on, like if you have to be a little bit more aware about who your consumer base is if you're Capcom, and actually think about like how this interfaces with the community. So the person that did this article, this lawyer, they should consult with Capcom, and maybe they should find a way to make like an approach that fits the very unique and special nature of the fighting game community, something that can actually work in concert with them, and everyone can fucking benefit. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a licensing structure in
you have
place,
to protect your IP in this kind of scenario.
Yes, and that is just the future. I mean, it's happened with Nintendo. Remember how people were what were they trying to do? Was it like a mod so they could play Smash? I don't know. Like Nintendo and the Smash community have had like a really Project M, right? It was like considered an infringement of Nintendo's copyright. They had to sort of pull it. So it's been very awkward. It's such a strained relationship between the FGC and Smash. Exemplified by this more recent announcement as well, that EVO 2022 will not have any Super Smash Brothers games because of Nintendo. I am not an FGC person, right? But I still remember watching Hungrybox win at EVO. And just like his reaction, the crying on stage, just the epicness of that moment, it made me realize, hang on, like this is legit. Yeah, the fighting game community is an entity unto itself, but it has so many of the great things about it that appeals to all esports fans. So this is pretty big, and you know, this is because Sony owns EVO.
Yep.
Now, as these large game companies are starting to acquire or be acquired, some lines are being drawn in the sand here. You know, Microsoft said they'll still keep distributing Activision products on Sony for now. But obviously Nintendo see Sony own Evo and go, we don't want a bar of this.
Yep.
This doesn't do much for Nintendo's reputation in the FGC, who have been seen as extremely isolationist and very unwilling to cooperate.
Yeah, yeah. No doubt. Although I did see, because obviously this all broke and then it's been instantly compared to what Capcom's doing, right?
Sure.
And a lot of people were saying, even when they were shitting on Capcom, they were like, even Nintendo didn't shit on our grassroots Smash tournaments, right? Because Nintendo has been really horrible on, like, trying to make money and, like, esporting the game and big stuff, right? But, like, you and your buddies and, like the same size of tournaments that Capcom is pissing on, Nintendo does not necessarily piss on. So it's kind of like this, like, wait a minute, they're not even this fucking rude. But this is an interesting parallel. And I don't know if this is confirmed because, again, if you're not in the loop, Evo as a brand was bought last year or the year before by Sony and RTS, right? Which is an agency that is owned by Endeavor, the big agency, and outside investment. Yeah. And they collectively now own the Evo brand. So it is interesting, and that was instantly kind of flown out there. Was like, well, obviously, it's Sony. They've said no because they're not going to give it a license to Sony. So interesting. Smash is always just fucking shit on by Nintendo. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. How it's endeared. It's crazy.
Such an odd relationship. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how this develops. But again, I'm curious to see how the FGC sort of evolves based on this because obviously Evo is the sort of the biggest spot, I think, for fighting game tournaments.
Yep.
So tough, and Smash is so prominent amongst those. So it's a head scratcher.
Very
Scott,
popular.
Big head scratcher.
Because you could say like Capcom's shooting themselves in the foot because there's other fighting games. Like fuck it, these TOs just won't use Street Fighter when it comes out, and that'll actually. Yeah, because they have alternative. There's no alternative to Counter-Strike.
And the consumer base will get behind this.
Yeah,
if they see like someone like Evo go away from those games because of this reason, the other people will respond to that as well. Because it's grassroots, which means TOs and in grassroots situations, TOs and sort of competitors and fans are much more aligned than they are in other.
And that's where I think they got it backwards, man. Yeah. Capcom,
yes. Because if causing problems for TOs causes problems much more directly for fans, and they might not have thought this would be a problem, because in Valorant, the average Valorant person does not give a fuck about how Riot charge TOs to do their events. Sure. They don't give a shit. Yep. They just fucking tune in there and spam Zoomer bullshit in the fucking Valorant, in Nerd Street Gamers channel. They don't care. In the FGC, they fucking care. You rustle the feathers of TOs and you make life hard for them. You make life hard directly for the community, the fans, the viewers, the players, all of that stuff. I don't think they accounted for that. But, I mean, they're not the only people pissing off their viewers lately, Scott.
Woo! Good segue.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Let's talk about Artesian Builds. Welcome to Artesian Fields.
Yes.
Of dreams.
It evokes, this name evokes... it's moisture, hydration, irrigation.
Water cooled?
Irrigation. But they make PCs. I don't want my PCs to become waterlogged.
Yes. Artesian Builds is in the news today or yesterday, and a series of apologies. They are a custom PC company that also has a stream channel. They stream the builds. They've built machines for the big boys. Miskiff has one of their machines. Okay. They sponsor OTK. Miskiff again. Let's play this and then we'll talk about this guy.
Yeah,
let's get you guys caught up and then I'll bring you some backstory. So here is.
So can we give a prelude here?
Yeah.
What are they doing in this clip they're about to watch?
Okay, so this is a tweet from Kia. Kia is a streamer. She is also an ambassador to Artesian Builds. They have an ambassador program, which, anyone could be an ambassador. You put a link in your panel, you get an affiliate code, those, typical kind of ambassador program, right? And they do ambassador raffles where they'll dip into their ambassador pool and they'll... one of the ambassadors will win a fucking PC from them. And they build it on air and, so he's kind of / streamer personality. He called himself an influencer in one of his apologies. That was a fucking joke. So anyway, this is the live stream of them picking the next winner. And Kia, obviously, is who is being discussed. This is her tweet. Let's go ahead and...
Let's roll it.
Let's roll this bad boy. Do we have this to roll? Here we go.
All followers combined, still under 5K, even across multiple socials. I was trying to be generous. That's a tough one.
Because there's bound to be repeats if you're in multiple socials.
I know. That's also true. Let's go into the analytics dashboard. Spicy.
These babies.
Oh, and there's the reroll. Here's the reason, chatter babies. Here's the reason. This person has 3 months of ambassadorship and not a single click.
Ooh, not a single click.
Not a single click. Not even once.
A little rough. So it sounds
Purged.
so they're re-rolling.
This is an ambassador giveaway, and you've got to be.
So again, mid giveaway, he's looking at all her metrics and deciding if she's worthy, even though nowhere in the contest do the ambassadors have any sort of metric set that not only you have to be an ambassador, but you got to have XYZ checked off your box before you enter the raffle. So he finds that...
But beside,
go ahead.
Beside that, I mean, just the person's demeanor already gives me shivers.
Oh, God.
Like this fucking, what was like a budget Star-Lord in that fucking outfit. And like looking at the camera as if like the fact that he's checking this person's analytics and basically weighing their worth as a quote-unquote ambassador live on stream is like slightly edgy or potentially humorous. Like something about this person makes me deeply uncomfortable. It's like they missed a few key developmental milestones socially that makes them think that this behavior is remotely resonant with anybody, Scott. Anyway, carry on. Just really, yeah.
Again, what I do... So he's... Instead of being joyous and exciting that he's given a PC to an ambassador of his... He's literally going through her socials and figuring out how not to give it to her. And then he finds one, and that is that she's an affiliate, so she's got a link in her panel, and they can track how many people have clicked her link to go maybe buy a PC. Nobody's clicked the link, which is really fucking funny, because what that means is she didn't even click her own fucking link to check her link. Right, as a let me make sure this works.
But
right?
she filled every requirement to be part of this giveaway.
Like that's not on. Like she didn't have to click the link again. And so she has a series of, and there's several videos where they're just fucking, he's just demeaning to her, very belittling, demeaning.
It's like I'm watching Borat. Like I feel that secondhand embarrassment for him so viscerally that I have an aversion to watching this clip. Like I want to leave the room. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then, so obviously this blew up, right? She tweets it, everyone and their mother, because they also have some very big names behind them. I started mentioning,
okay, so
they are a sponsor of OTK, which is that Midskiff and all those guys is like content creating fucking company, whatever you want to call it. But like this landed on obviously Reddit instantly. This is the guy, this is the owner, right?
94 followers, okay.
And what I found out when I went to Reddit, obviously they make really expensive custom builds for streamers as well. Like they built a $10,000 rig for Midskiff, crashes twice a stream. They have not built a good rig. Like all the feedback was cool looking rigs, terrible ventilation. Like they built a circular one for Midskiff. Like, and it's a meme in his channel. If something crashes, it's like, it's an Artesian Peppy thing, right? Like, they built one for, I think, Osmogold. A bunch of people they built them for have gone to shit, right? And so, like I was telling you in the pre-show, it gets a little spicier. This guy started his company as a crypto mining gaming rig builder first. In 2018, that's where
let me just hold this up here for you. Yeah. Keep going.
Artesian started as a crypto mining rig building thing, right? And
there's the other shoe dropping, motherfucker.
and he started getting in trouble with the pay platforms that he was using to get the money because they were starting to regulate crypto and all these crypto farms that were building. So he was on, it made it to The Verge. The Verge wrote an article about this guy because Stripe, which is a big payment platform, kicked him off the platform for possible shady crypto stuff, right? So he somehow pivoted to now building high-end gaming machines, and that's what he does.
Well, so he took the wrong turn at the human decency intersection and just went straight to fucking building PCs for big streamers, did he?
So yeah,
Fuck me.
yeah. And again, and he's done the typical thing to grow his channel. Follow my channel. Subscribe to this. Subscribe. So
We're building big things. The future of Web3 is cash money,
yeah,
baby.
I mean, if you go to their Twitter you go to their Twitter fucking page, he's got 240,000 followers because to be an affiliate or an ambassador, you got to do X, Y, Z. You got to follow. And they do giveaways. It's a giveaway channel, right? So how do you get a channel big? Giveaways, giveaway
absolutely.
PCs, right? So now he's an influencer because he has 240,000 fucking followers.
His Twitter account is 93.
Exactly, right? So we're not done with him though. They came up so in response to her tweets calling him out. He started his apology with a series of tweets that were just terrible, right? Like, woe is me, just trying to help, we'll try to do better. Typical bullshit. Not even a twit longer. Everyone knows in esports you start with a twit longer. Twit longer first, right? So a series of tweets leads to getting fucking ratioed and thrashed again.
Yeah, he got the shit beat out of him. The quote
he got just destroyed. I jumped in. I had some fun. So he thought, how else should I send a message? Let me send a official memo from my office. So we get this.
Oh, no.
From the office of the chief executive officer of Artesian Builds.
What office? You fucking DJ. What office, man?
So he writes a fucking letter to us. Again, do better.
Wow, so glad for him. So good that he addresses us from his ivory tower. Yeah. Please continue. Regaling me with tales of your brilliance.
What a pompous fucktard, right? But this then got ratioed, got L'd, got maiden list, get fucked, right?
Touch Grace, motherfucker. Yeah.
Is that the new one? Touch Grace?
Touch Grace.
Oh,
yeah.
I like that.
L was that maiden list and Touch Grace?
I like Touch Grace instead of Touch Grass. That's great. Yeah. Fuck that game, though. Okay, so what like Jason was like, I can't do anymore, Scott, last night, because we're not going to show you. I'm going to ask you folks, just go find it.
Okay, sure.
He then decided, because that blew up in his face. He comes back, I shit you not.
The tone of it is awful. Like, it's
less than an hour later than that press release, he comes with a video fucking announcement.
Okay, all right.
And we're not even going to fucking do it.
All right.
Oh, we do have it. Okay, can we play it, please? Oh, no audio. Shit. The audio is the best.
Oh, show me his fucking, whatever, it's fine.
So we have it. So then he does this, and it's him staring at the camera, and he's like, it's not why I do this. We do this for you. And, we fucked up. It was stupid. It was bad. The way I did the giveaway was not good, and I'll be better. We'll be better. And what I was explaining to you at the break, when I didn't think we had this video, you're not going to hear it. Folks, please go watch this at home. There's a section in this video where he gets ready to say, all ambassadors are eligible for all giveaways. That's basically the message he's trying to give. All ambassadors are available.
I mean, you could just stipulate your requirements as well. Like, that would be fine. You could just stipulate, hey, look, this ambassador needs this amount of clicks, and without just, dragging them through the mud publicly, you could just re-roll. Like, there's so many ways of doing this, but okay, carry on.
But where it gets shitty, and that's why I want you all, your homework assignment, you that are watching, however many, go listen to this, because this section where he's trying to say, oh yeah, and all ambassadors are eligible for all giveaways. This is what he does. And all ambassadors are eligible for all giveaways now. There is an audible pause and sigh in this motherfucker at that moment where he's like, literally, he can't hide that he's bummed that he has to fucking make this open to everybody. It's like, literally, are all eligible. It's like, Jesus, dude. And the audio's terrible. He's a streamer, so he should have decent audio. He's like an airplane hangar or something's going on. Like, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Did you literally, again, and no twit longer. So,
No twit longer.
No twit longer.
Cannot believe he tried to make an internet apology without a twit longer. In fairness, I don't think there's, like, here's the thing. When you make an apology, like, you should not expect anyone to go, okay, thanks for the apology, it all makes sense. No, no one will be satisfied with your apology. No matter if you cry, if you have a dog there, if you have an emotional support animal of any other kind, if you seem sincere, if you wrote it, if your mother wrote it, if Voltaire wrote it, no one is going to be satisfied with your apology. So just don't be expecting that. And obviously people weren't.
Yep.
But, Jesus, I mean, he can't even claim to have been authentic.
Yeah. Yeah, and now he's got like his biggest. I think his biggest account would be Mr. Beast. I think he makes PCs for Mr. Beast.
Sure.
But quite a few bigger, because he's got an affiliate program for all the kids that he's selling computers to, because he signs you up to be an ambassador and he gives you a discount. So he's still selling you a fucking PC,
Holy
right?
fuck! The new way of trolling people won't be like
It's insane.
Won't be making them tweet like finding access. Like let's say your coworker leaves their computer open at the desk next to you. We used to do this to each other at ESL all the time. It's no longer tweeting shit like on your coworker's account. That is a way of dunking them. No, you sign them up to be a fucking Artesian Builds affiliate while they're not looking. Put their fucking banner in their Twitch profile and don't say anything about it. The ultimate jape, if you will.
Fucking insane. And then, and so they're starting to see some real ramifications. Like if they lose ambassadors to their program, they're not going to give a shit. But Chad is saying that OTK dropped him today.
Yeah.
Friend said he dropped him today. So Pestily, I saw a tweet from him. He dropped. So they're starting to lose some of their actual influencers, right? Yeah, my thoughts and prayers go out to him.
Yeah. Okay.
Now let's one more rib, right?
Real quick. Yeah. Throw this in.
Your fucking name of your company, dude. Like,
what does it mean, Scott? What does it all mean?
Okay, so how many of you raise your hand in chat if you thought it was Artesian Builds? Right.
I mean,
it reads Artisan. You might think right off the bat it's Artisan, as in a handcrafted, an Artisan is this beautiful handcrafted PC. Artesian Builds, right? Nope. Their name is Artesian. Artesian is a type of well made famous in Algiers, France in the 1100s by the Chartesian monks. Developed this well because it's a gravity well, right? It's a very specific thing.
Yeah,
an Artesian well.
Yeah, water
very
flows
specific.
diagonally downwards and you bore a hole.
And you grab it, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing it's ever used for, right? It's Artesian wells. So I don't know what he did. Either he decided Artesian was a cool word, or he somehow thought...
He saw it on a fucking bottle of water and thought it meant, like, fancy.
Fair enough. I would accept that answer.
Yeah.
That'll be rivalry question number 11.
You could label your water like Artesian water, and it would be like, okay, from the well, yeah, like, I guess that's fine. But he probably saw that was like, yes, fancy, Artesian.
Yeah, and I imagine, like, Artisan Builds is gone. You can't get that. You can't get that domain. You can't get that Twitter. That's probably a construction company or something, right? So, but again, what you picked is such a it's one of those where you pick something that sounds like it but means something totally fucking different.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I do love that. I mean, that happens a lot. I think in the English language, it's something I do enjoy.
Oh yeah. So funny shit. So we will keep an eye on you, Artesian Wells Builds. I mean, we'll see what you rename your PC building company
look, you shouldn't be naming your brand of something you can draw water out of, because that's not really conducive to the operation of any technology that is powered by micro transmitters and stuff. So yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, doesn't do it for me. Anyway, what other bullshit is been going on this week?
Well, I mean, let's get happy. Let's get excited. Let's go to our happy place. So, and you know what gets me to my happy place? This right here. This right here.
It's this. Why? What is that?
Oh, I was hoping he was going to take the full shot. Amouranth fart. No, I was cute. I was hoping Jason was going to take what I'm seeing in preview. There we go. This makes me happy.
It's water, right? Bathwater. Yeah.
It's a whole lot of things.
No. It's just bathwater, right?
Let's
come on.
World famous Amouranth.
Yeah.
Influencer.
I know of her. Yeah.
ASM. You might know her from ASMR. You might know her from the Hot Tub Maida.
Sure.
I can't even speak straight now because she's on screen.
Hold on.
So she has released a company.
Oh, she's making perfume, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cutie Patooties.
Wait. I don't like how toot is capitalized, Scott.
No. This is not your typical perfume.
There's nothing in the jar.
There is stuff in the jar.
What is in the jar?
What's in the jar?
No.
Okay.
Why? No.
I know. Why is our queen selling out like this? Why is our queen becoming the ultimate degen? But money talks.
Wait,
Coomers talk.
This is a joke, right? Hang on. The scent jar?
Yes.
What? Have you ever wondered what your favorite streamer smells like? Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, so there is water. All right, so that would have... I'm already conditioned to that as a concept. So,
yeah.
Okay.
She has two products on the market now. One is her hot tub water,
Right.
right?
Which I can't believe we live in a day and age where that's reasonable, or almost just not that shocking to me.
Yep. And
Okay.
here she is.
Okay, she has a hair.
So this is her making the fart jar, right? So the fart jar isn't just a fart of, it's a toot jar.
no.
'Cause toots are cuter.
No.
So-
no.
She's gonna give you a little toot. And folks, if you watch this at home, there's sound effects.
Oh,
can-
no.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy with no.
Oh yeah. And then she's gonna cap that freshness right there. Cap it up. That's not all. Gonna sign it and number it for you because it's a custom limited edition toot. Oh yes. Oh yes. Now, that's not all. If you thought that's great, I can smell Amouranth briefly because eventually, obviously, that smell's gonna dissipate. You know, gotta be careful when you open that jar. And I got the hair. I'll frame it, have it forever. That's not all. Again, the
Okay.
queen of the hot tub meta is now going to give you a little bit of her hot tub water if you're interested.
All right. I mean, this is less.
Also signed, also limited edition. Amouranth soaky hot tub water.
Ethically sourced. Made in the USA. You don't Christ. Imagine posing for those photos. It is our highest priority to ensure Amouranth is well taken care of and given the highest quality. Okay, yeah, this is a fucking troll. I'm being trolled.
Hey, don't hate the play. Hate the player.
I love the first FAQ. Is this real? Click on that. Click on that. Cutie Patooties is proud to offer genuine scented air by Amouranth herself. Okay. What is the process of bottling like? Come on. Let's see if they bother to fill this shit in. We at Cutie Patooties believe the best farts are those that are naturally occurring, as opposed to what, Scott?
As opposed to those that have been enhanced. And this.
But what?
Okay, here. This is.
What kind of diet do they have her on?
Okay, our queen is an innovator, but not a creator in its core. So I need to give you some backstory on these products, right? Belle Daphne, if you remember Belle Daphne, YouTuber.
Yeah.
Crazy girl herself.
Yeah.
Started this trend. She was selling her bathwater months ago for only $30, right?
Yeah, okay. Good rate.
Stephanie Matteo, I'm going to say that wrong. Reality star of 90 Day Fiance Finance, whatever. Fiance Finance, it's all the same, money and love, right? She was selling her farts, right? This made national news. She was selling her farts, had so much back order, she started eating too many beans.
No.
Ended up also made it as a story, her in the ER because she had to get the toot going because she had a back order. So she had to slow down. So she changed her fart jars to NFT fart jars.
No!
Yep. So they're not real fart jars anymore. They're NFT jars.
No,
right?
come on, dude. That's not even okay.
She was selling her fart jars at $1,000.
Right.
And now the NFT fart jars are $200.
Okay, here's what I want to know. Is this an inflationary or deflationary asset, Scott?
It inflates.
Okay.
And then it deflates.
All right, so
It's
how long
both.
does the smell last? There are many factors in how long the smell can last, including the place and temperature the jar is stored, how long the jar is opened, how tightly it is resealed after opening, nostril flow, etc. In addition, no two clouds are the same. Yes, they're both mystical and magical, like fucking snowflakes. And some may be more potent than others. The best conditions can lead to a scent that lasts between 20 and 30 days after opening. Okay. All right. Listen, this is Casey Tron level humor. She is taking the piss.
And she's going to make money. You
And
watch.
she's gonna make money.
That's the funny thing about it is obviously she's laughing all the way to the fucking bank. She will sell water. She will fucking fake fart into some jars and throw a hair in there and she'll make thousands of dollars, right?
It's $1,000 for the scent jar.
Yes.
So a lock of hair and a fart.
Now,
Not the head hairs, right?
in the video, she does this, like she strokes her hair. Oh, you can see me, yeah. She strokes her hair and then she grabs it and puts it in the jar.
So we're not talking any bleached ass hairs, like the premium package, right?
She's not selling pubes or anything special.
okay,
That's
still-
probably a DM for those kind of rates
Right.
conversation. What I want to know, can the control room go into the buying process on air? Let's see how far we can get. I want to know two things. A, is there like a store? How close can we get to buying something? Let's do this live on air. Let's buy a fart jar.
You don't pay me enough for that.
And does she accept crypto? Let's add that to the cart.
We've got a backlog of esports cruise coin. Would you consider an
I got
exchange?
a shitload of
would
cruise
you
coin.
consider an exchange of?
Don't
Don't get out of the cart. Get out of
let's
it.
check. No, check out. Let's get a
Get
check
out
out.
of the fucking cart. No.
Put in Jason's
Listen.
Mitch at hireme.com.
I don't need to inject black tar heroin into my dick hole to know it's bad for me, Scott. All right.
Bad for you. Come on. Come on. It's come a long way since the 70s.
Oh my god.
So anyway, so it looks legit. Is this like PayPal or something? She's got a legit store, obviously. So
Obviously.
Yeah.
She's actually like
she
people
will make
actually
money.
Buy,
It's fucking great. Okay, you can. And I already feel bad for Tyler. You know, Tyler does our social work with Michael, and he's also a
I'm
PA.
gonna need a social worker after this.
I felt really bad this morning. I go, hey, man, I don't know if you'd ever have a boss ask you this, but I need you to go do some research on Belle Delphine and how much she charged. He had to go get that research for me. Like, you know, because he researches all the shit. I'm going, yeah, go research what this shit
it's
charged.
like telling him to find a left-handed screwdriver, Scott. Christ. That's what they used to do to us on the build
Yeah,
side.
so, you know, our queen, ever trend-setting. Good luck, Amouranth, with the sale.
Wow.
If you'd like to send us some complimentary copies, I would open one live on air and, you know, let the world know how fragrant your bouquet is.
The monarch of motility, our true queen. Here's to you and your cutie patootie jars.
Cheers to you. All right, you better drink some water.
Fucking hell.
Because it is time. And this is a little scary because every rapid fire so far presented by Rivalry, you've been remote, or I've been remote,
Yes.
right? Now I get to ask you these really crazy questions, and you're like right fucking there.
Yeah.
Don't throw anything at me,
Okay.
because I didn't make any of these questions up.
Right.
I'm just asking them. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. It is time, folks. The segment is called Rapid Fire, presented by Rivalry. We're gonna burn this motherfucker down. How this works is I'm going to ask him 10 questions fairly quickly, fairly quick answers. We've asked you guys a question in chat. We asked it on social media. That is question number 1. I'm going to ask it right now, just to remind you all. That question is, who would win in a fight, Jack Reacher or the Peacemaker? We'll get to that one at the end. Voting might still be closed, might keep it open for a few more minutes. Let's get into it. Jason's going to burn this place down as we do it. You can hear the flames in your fucking ears. Are you ready?
Yeah, I guess.
Rapid Fire, presented by Rivalry. Number 10, would you rather wear socks for gloves or gloves for socks?
Socks for gloves, because I don't have opposable thumbs, but I could still, you know, do this and pick things up.
What is worse, LA traffic or LA people?
Dude, people in Orange County are worse. I'll take LA traffic.
LA traffic.
At least people in LA are real. Like the actual LA people are real. People who grew up there, yeah.
Next question, are smoke grenades or grand finals a better way for Nico to disappear?
I mean, he wasn't that bad. Carrigan scored. Okay, fine. Smoke grenade. he was fine.
Second place, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
You're okay with that?
You're on a team where mine is. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that was a negative 11 we hear.
Carrigan bottom fragged every map.
But sure. Still got that trophy though.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. IGL.
Yeah, Rivalry has some of these I'm like, oh, that's a Rivalry question. Who wins in a fight, a bottom half centaur or a top half centaur?
Wait, just separately? Well, the fucking top half centaur has got no fucking legs, does he? Oh, yeah,
Right.
I mean, I take the mobility advantage from having 4 legs, the equine part, Scott.
Gallop the fuck away.
Absolutely.
So you're gonna flee.
No, I'm going to trample that motherfucker. Well, you got to run away.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
sure,
fair enough,
I'll
fair enough,
rear
fair
up
enough.
and fucking, you know what I mean? I'm a
So, yeah.
stallion, bitch.
So yeah, because the top half would be the guy and 2 hands. Yeah, he'd be fucked.
What's he going to
He'd
do?
be fucked. He'd be fucked.
You
Yep,
know
good-
what? Gesture at me rudely as I just... Yeah,
Good call. Good call. Do you pick a starter Pokemon based on first form or its last?
Last form. I don't give a fuck about the first form. It only lasts till level 16.
All right. Okay. Next set of questions.
Oh, Quaxley's kind of fucking sick, though.
Okay. No sleep until you've beat Elden Ring or till Brooklyn.
Okay, I get the reference. Well, I'm a dad of a 13-month-old. I just take no sleep. How about that? No. I mean, I haven't played Elden Ring yet, though.
Okay.
But I don't have the temperament for Souls games.
I was gonna ask you, would you even?
No, I'm dog shit. I'm a fucking washed gamer, man. I'd rather go and, you know, get ruined by Zoomers at Overwatch or Valorant or something like that. Yeah.
I started playing it, got killed right away, and I'm like, what? What?
You have to be like,
I know
spot
better.
on.
I
Yeah.
know I don't like these games. I'm like, why
But you know,
did I do
will
this?
say that these Souls games are starting to permeate the rest of the market because, like, Pokemon Legends Arceus has, like, Souls-esque fight
Yeah.
mechanics that it forces you to do, which is great. But
I
anyway,
like that it's hard and it's not a handheld, you know, it doesn't hold your hand at all. It's a very difficult video game.
that's a
but fuck.
debate. That's a whole debate, though. I mean, the difficulty of it. But yeah, no.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, we're memorizing roles and shit.
Yeah,
rapid fire.
sorry.
Rapid fire. Production in my ear. We're gonna get back to it. Okay. Who would you want leading in battle? Kerrigan or Kerrigan?
Kerrigan, because I mean, she got them fucking spikes and shit. She'd be impaling people. What's Kerrigan to do?
Yeah, no
Cry
offense
in front
to
of a Katowice crowd after winning?
Yeah,
No, come on.
no offense to Kerrigan.
Hell
Very
no.
topical.
I'm going to battle after that queen. No
Yeah,
worries.
very topical this week. Best of fives. Great tournament format or waste of time?
Neither, but I think it's like when you have a series as long as the one was a Katowice, it's too much of a good thing, like Richard Lewis said. So look, I'll say great tournament format because it's not a waste of time. Somewhere in between if I could choose it.
Okay. Best dessert. Cake, pie, or ice cream?
All right. I'll take cake because I love cheesecake more than basically anything
that's
else.
my favorite
And also
dessert
like a
too.
good New York cheesecake. Fucking simple, classic, baby, with a bit of, you know.
You like a little fruit?
Yeah. A bit of that. Yeah.
Little strawberry compote or
Yeah,
something? I
fucking-
love me some
exactly.
cheesecake.
That shit's fire.
Good call. Good call. Last question. Same one we asked chat.
Yeah.
We'll reveal what they said at the end. Who would win in a fight? Jack Reacher, Amazon Prime show,
Yeah.
or The Peacemaker,
I,
HBO show?
The Peacemaker, he's fucking John Cena, by the way. Besides, Jack Reacher was more of like a spy type. Well, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, he got into his own. I remember, I guess in the books, but he was more of a spy type kind
Yep.
of guy. John Cena will fuck you up. He will just break through the nearest wall. And fucking. No, I love John Cena, man. I don't know about. I haven't quite seen much of the Peacemaker yet.
Oh,
I did
this-
see the
this show is
interesting
great.
Twitter activations that he did.
Yeah.
Where he was talking about he would solve problems that occur on Twitter, and I was like, is this like an interesting way of marketing
Yeah.
Peacemaker? But I've heard it's really good, so I'm gonna
It
keep
is
watching
good.
it.
Well
I'm gonna
worth a
keep watching
watch. I finally convinced Jason to watch more than one episode, and he's liking it
I
as
love
well.
that
It's good.
John Cena is actually getting his acting role and it's working
Fucking
out
great.
for him. Fucking-
And it's got, it's got an intro. The show intro is just fucking great.
Yeah.
It's like one of those shows you don't fucking
Good.
push
All
through
right.
the intro.
All right.
Let's see how you did. I imagine Peacemaker's gonna. I would have picked Peacemaker. Let's go ahead and see. I would have said Eagly, which is his sidekick in the show, Badass Eagle. Who would win in a fight, Jack Reacher or the Peacemaker? Social media has determined that yes, Peacemaker
Yeah, I'm sorry.
is the badass.
Plus, John Cena's just way more lovable. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's great.
Well, and again, one's got superhero toys.
Yes.
And one is just a spy.
That's right.
So
Just a spy.
Just a spy. All right, that has been Rapid Fire, brought to you by Rivalry. Thank you so very much for that, folks. Thank you, Rivalry, for jumping in and being part of our wacky show. Bunch of those questions are straight from the crazy minds of Rivalry.
Yeah, thanks for that, guys.
Yeah, since I'm saying shit. All right, let's do regular questions now. We do always end up with questions from you guys. Let's see if we got any. Jason, what do we got? We got a few in there today? We do. Here we go. First question from chat. What games are you playing right now? Coming from Mystic Dog in chat.
Ah, great question. So I'm still like level 42 in Lost Ark. I haven't got to the end game yet. It looks really good. I actually really enjoy a lot of the elements that they put in that game, even though it's a bit of pay to win. Like it's definitely got a gacha sort of element to it, but I haven't really run into that yet. My new computer arrives today. I didn't get Artesian Builds to make it, just to be clear. Yeah, a company called Seattle Built PCs. You can look them up. I actually tweeted the picture of my build. I haven't used it yet, so but they've been really great to work with. Anyway, Warhammer Total War 3. So Creative Assemblies, the Total War genres, they brought out the third installment in their Warhammer Total War series, and I'm a big fan of the Warhammer universe. It was a tabletop game with miniatures.
Ah, okay.
Really rich lore and story, and then they went and fucking ruined that, but that's not the point. So I'm going to be playing that, and I'm playing a card game right now. I'm a big trading card, competitive card game person. So it's Magic the Gathering. I played a game called Legend of the Five Rings. So it's like you and me, we're playing a card game, in the real. I love those. I'm playing a game called Flesh and Blood by Legend Story Studios.
Oh.
Fantastic game. Really, there's so many different ways to play. It's got a whole competitive scene, tournament structure. You can get involved in all that. So I'm picking that up slowly. And it's one of my, and I call it a game because I play it sort of on Tabletop Simulator. It's something I spend most of my time learning right now. So big fan of TCGs, that game especially, Flesh and Blood. Check it out. It's better than Magic the Gathering.
Good.
There you
Good
go.
call. Okay, so for me, a little bit of Elden Ring. I did install that this weekend and got incredibly frustrated very quickly. And went, wait a minute, this game's all about memorizing that I got to fucking roll, then dodge, then hit, then roll. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing this one. Every fucking Souls game, I do the exact same thing. I'm like, oh, this looks so great. And then I'm like, this isn't my kind of game. But I like the open world side of it. So maybe this one, in comparison to the older Souls ones, might keep me a little bit more excited because of that versatility. On top of that, I am the reigning company champion of Vampire Chronicles. Nobody can crush me. That's that crazy 8-bit game.
The arcadey looking one, right?
Yeah. 50-50 achievements, the whole 9 yards. I am the beast. And then I saw a tweet from Vampire Survivors. Sorry, not Vampire Chronicles. Vampire Survivors is the name of that little game. I saw a tweet last week from the developer of This War of Mine, which is a really weird kind of 2D scroller survivor type game, but it's set in like Eastern Europe. The developers are Eastern European, and they're basically giving, if you buy the game, they're giving it to the Ukraine. And it's very morbid. It's very dark. I don't know if I'll finish it. But yeah, and there's been a bunch of DLC since then, so I'm really late to the game. But yeah, This War of Mine.
Do you find that you still gravitate to those games from like maybe your younger years? Because obviously, like those, I look at those games and I'm like, this is really old. Like it looks really old to me, right? But like what is it that sort of draws you into those?
I think now, I guess I'm still kind of a variety gamer, but like, I got sucked into the vampire one because I watched some streamers. I'm like, this looks like fucking silly and easy and fun. It's like one of those hard games, but not hard games, right? You just fucking move the guy and that's it. That's all you do. And then, it looks, it's 8-bit, right? It looks really fucking janky.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of nostalgia, I guess, in the sense of like, because I grew up on that kind of video game, right? Although not that kind of video game, but like that look of a video game.
Yes.
And then like the War of Mine is just, I wanted to see what it was all about, and throw some money that way. But again, it's really dark and it's
gritty.
Yeah, like have you ever seen the movie The Road?
Yeah.
It's like that in a fucking video game.
Okay.
Like it's fucking depressing.
Right. I don't know if I
Right?
like happy endings and shit. I don't know if I play it, but I actually get what you're saying now about like the style of those games appealing to you. Because there's a game that's coming out on Steam and on mobiles called Koromon. And it's like, it's the same style of the old Pokemon games. The ones that were still top down kind of ones, but like with a whole different system, but it's loosely based on that. And I'm really into it. And even though it's not like super modernized graphics, like it's still pixely, right, in a way, but I still very much want to play it. So,
and I think maybe for me, like since I'm, and you too, you're old enough, like we come from an era that it wasn't about graphics because it had to not be about graphics for a while until.
Well, we didn't know any better anyway.
Yeah. So for me, it is about gameplay. It's not that mountain looks really good in the distance, although that's great. It's about everything else that's in front of that mountain that I'm interacting with, like Valheim.
Yeah.
Beautiful fucking game, but at the same time, not a beautiful game.
No, it's
like
kind of, it's
spritey
and it's buggy at times.
Yeah,
as well.
but some of the stuff they did is epically gorgeous when you look at the vistas and stuff. But like the sprites and the shit you're using are not fancy looking and fucking super rendered. So to me, it's still about gameplay over anything else, right? And if it happens to look good, great. Again, I did have an Atari. People in chat are saying Atari 2600. Yes,
my first console was a PS2.
There you go. There you go. So you you played with Laura Croft's pointy tits, right?
Phrasing.
You.
I just thought it was a Madonna homage. And I didn't really think any more about it.
Madonna homage.
All right, what else we got?
Well, next question. Anyway, good question. That's what I'm playing.
Nice.
Lots of stuff. Okay. Can you make fun of Ryan in chat on the Dust 2? Oh, wait, are they doing a show this weekend?
Oh, nice.
Shit. Yes, Halo Flyer. What are they doing? Are they doing like watch parties or something? What are they doing over there at Dust 2? Yes. I almost jumped in. Ryan decided to like do a live stream of the fucking State of the Union last night. I didn't tune in, but he tweeted, "Oh, you want to watch this fucking train wreck with me?" It would have been interesting to watch with him. I didn't. But yeah, if those guys are... Oh, that's right. Fragadelphia. Again, speaking of kind of grassrooty tournaments, big tournament, East Coast Counter-Strike this week. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely tune into that, and I will heckle him. I like to heckle him unmercilessly on Twitter. So
Why
I'll
not?
try to do that live. So that's a yes to your question. Well, at least I'll try to. One more question. Let's see what we got. For last question of the day, what's the next step for NACS? From Hey, Abby, how are you? Boy, I don't... next step. I mean...
I recuse myself from answering this.
I mean, I think the next step, is we're going to have to see how these... The North American organizations that have stayed, we got to see how those rosters stabilize, how they perform. we have to hope that the teams that aren't in it right now don't have a roster. Especially, I think some of those teams that were interested in Counter-Strike, that the experiment of Flashpoint didn't go their way, maybe didn't scare them away forever. To your point of how Counter-Strike is this game that endures, we just had a great event. Maybe that woos some of them back to spend money on some rosters. I don't know if it will.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think who was that? Who was the team that was crowdfunded and then the COVID complications? But Party Astronauts.
I mean, they are taking that spot. They're going to EPL.
Right?
Yep.
There are prospects in North America, but it seems like the scene needs a lot more support. And maybe the scene just needs people to stop trying to make fucking juggernauts. Like maybe there needs to just be some real development in this scene.
Yeah, or if you're going to make one, you got to give it the time. Like,
sure, same thing, yeah.
Like these things.
But it won't be a juggernaut off the rip, so to speak, and expecting it to
like,
is, maybe not reasonable.
It just doesn't work that way, right? Especially now when the top level of Counter-Strike is playing such fucking amazing Counter-Strike. So, yeah, no real anti-Abby in that sense. Like, again, I think we need more people carrying again in the sense of those putting people on payrolls. And I don't like that Flashpoint's gone. Obviously, I've had lots of fights with all the people of Flashpoint over the years, but like them as an entity and them as another TO and another way for team owners to get revenue, and like a lot of the things they were trying to do made some sense.
Yep.
It's unfortunate. I think at the end of the day, they turned themselves into a shit show. That's on them. How it went south. They're going to blame everybody else.
Yeah.
But that is the esports way to blame everybody else. I guess we're just have to wait and see what, now that we're, I guess, coming out of a pure pandemic and we can travel a little bit and go back to a little bit of business as usual for, ESL Pro League and those kind of things. Again, I just hope it sparks newer interest. There's, to your point, lots of rumors this week. Hector tweeted that he loved Counter-Strike. Hector always tweets. Every fucking time there's a Counter-Strike tournament, Hector will tweet,
I love it.
CSGO greater than all, because he loves the fucking game, right? And he has supported it. Well, that led to everybody and their mother thinking that Envy/Optic were going to fucking sign someone. Rumors broke that of an unsignable roster being magically signed all to one team, Device, like all these different players. It's just bullshit, right?
No way.
So it would be great if those guys do decide to come back, an Optic branded, Envy branded, whatever side of that equation they branded. That would be great to see him jump back in. It's not a cheap esport. It's really fucking expensive.
Why is that?
Because I run the player association and we've made it really fucking expensive for everybody. No, because team owners got into a bidding war several years ago for the cost of players.
And they drove these prices
They
way up.
They drove monthly salaries up. They drove perks up. They drove, and they drove fucking buyouts up.
So when's the correction happen?
I think it's happening. I think it's slowly already happening.
Okay.
I think we've had some contracts.
It's happening in caster salaries too, by the way.
It needs to. No offense. I mean, I don't know what you. I mean, I don't know what we get paid, but I do know what we pay you. No offense.
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys.
Jason, let's talk to him after the show.
You guys pay me an appropriate day rate. It's above industry standard, and I appreciate that. You wouldn't have me if not for that.
I know. Yeah, you do what you got to do. But no, in that scenario, it's always been this running kind of joke that all these players would have all signed for less. But once you set it up here, they're all going to use up here to negotiate against.
Yeah, sure.
MBK's getting 20 grand a month. I'm better than MBK, right? My whole team's better than that French team, right? Oh, yeah, we'll give you 22K. And then that team gets used for the next team. And that is all...
It's all based on precedence.
Yeah, and it's all getting, I think, a little bit more down to reality. And what we're also seeing is you're also seeing players are able to eke some side deals with their contracts. So...
Which you should do if you want to make the buku bucks. You don't make it all from one place.
Yeah, you don't want it from one paycheck. Yeah. So the teams that are starting to allow that, going, you can have category X, Y, Z, A, B, and C, and for that, I'm not going to pay you as much. That's a better deal for everybody.
Yep.
My labor cost as a team owner goes down, and my possibilities as a player selling my shit go up.
If you're willing to, I mean, I guess we're getting a little bit away from what NACS sweep up.
We always get into this.
Get good is what they need to fucking do.
Get good. Don't give up so quickly.
Yeah.
And,
sign JKS.
Yeah. That would be it. And that's our third question, so that will do it this week. Awesome to have you in the building. As always, Mitch, great to see you. We will be back next week. Every Wednesday we do this thing. He does a show every Tuesday. Vansili and Mitch Man. All about Valorant. Don't want to miss that. Tuesday's Valorantine, Wednesday's The Breakdown. See you next week.